haven't done anything with the recordings, but it's fun to know that there's that your guys. I see. It looks like I'm frozen up here.
We can hear you.
Coming through.
Fortunately, I was.
Seeing you too.
You're moving and you look fine to me, LeRoy.
Yeah.
At least I'm smiling. Anyway, long story short, welcome everybody. Here we are, and what do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about how great the recycling event went on Saturday.
That was great.
Electronic recycling.
Thanks for being there all. For being there all day.
Can you tell us? Several people asked me whether how the financing of that works. Can you fill us in on that?
My screen is having some problems. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we were fortunate to collect enough donations. I think we got online, and donations at the event are going to cover the majority, if not all, of our expenses. And that doesn't even include some of the original sponsors. So we just found out today that the bill for the electronics recycling is going to be about $14,000. That's by far the biggest piece of it. That was negotiated by the state of Michigan. But we got in about $17,000 in donations.
Wow.
Just really, people were super generous, and we had an online giving option, which made it easy for people that didn't want to exchange money. Anyway, yeah, so I will be sharing some of these results.
So that means that the company that was there charged 14 grand to haul the stuff away and process it?
Yeah. There's the truck rental, there's the processing, there's, all that stuff. And that was a deal, actually.
And the state of Michigan has a program that contributed to that, or they just kind of did the organizing bit?
There were 3 local governments, 2 cities, and the state that offered to provide some financial assistance as we were deciding whether or not to go forward on this. And this state offered to kick in $2,000 just to sort of ensure that we would cover our costs, but it looks like they will not have to do that, which is, we're still getting in all the expenses and things like T-shirts, the school rental, the supplies and things like that. But it looks like it's going to be close to a break even. May even have a couple $1,000s left over for future events.
Have you ever tried to put a number of hours of volunteer effort that go into it?
Yeah, I think we've estimated that before, but thank you for putting in your 8 hours, Bill and Sarah. You guys were amazing, whatever that total was. But
I was there
Elaine.
too.
Elaine was there?
Yeah, I was there.
Oh, good to know.
Might not have seen me.
No, she was the most popular person there, I think, with the foods.
Yeah.
Also the only one to get whacked on the head with a stanchion.
Yeah, I still gotta send you the bill for that one.
I take back everything I've said.
In fact, 17 grand, that'll almost cover it. Yeah, that'll cover.
Oh, but 75 volunteers times at least 4 hours a piece. And that's just the day of. So, and of course, some of you put in much more than 4 hours. So we should do the math on that. But thanks everybody for being a part of it and making it a success. And for everyone who brought stuff and donated so generously.
And what was our car total? It was over 1,000, I know.
1,008 vehicles, yeah.
Vehicles.
But I'll share more details on this, and thanks for asking. And Kendra, welcome. This is your first time here at one of these dialogues. And it's pretty much free reign conversation. People were asking about the recycling event. And I know you've got some issues you want to talk about. Other people have stuff to share. But
Good morning, thank you. Sorry I couldn't get my video to work this morning. I'm, delighted to join you. I do have issues to talk about, but I just kind of wanted to hear about your format and how you guys work here. So I'm mostly just kind of planning on listening today. I can just introduce myself. I'm very into the wetland advocacy and caring for the wetlands in our area, and I've been pretty instrumental in trying to make some changes happen in this township. And I just spent the last week planting, my husband and I and some other people helped us plant a native garden in our yard, a very large one. So I'm very into environmental issues. So I appreciate being able to join.
Great.
Cool. Welcome.
Where's your garden?
In the yard, like we made a chunk of our yard native plantings.
No, but where are you located?
I'm sorry, in Okemos, off of Van Atta Road. So our property connects to the wetlands. So that's why I'm very involved in wetland advocacy.
awesome. Well, that certainly has been a recurring theme in these conversations. Looking for ways to promote green infrastructure, native landscapes, alternative ecological landscaping. And I think the Environmental Commission is pretty involved with that right now. And we've got a meeting next Wednesday evening. Everyone's welcome at those meetings. But Bill mentioned a few meetings ago that it would be cool to have a green map of examples of native landscapes, even on the neighborhood level, where we can sort of see how much of this is actually happening and kind of learn from each other. And obviously there's many infinite number of styles of native landscapes.
Right. And one of the things that we were thinking about making our yard this way is to let other folks see it so they can see how beautiful it can be, and kind of change the thought process on that. I mean, I'm guessing everyone on this, who's on this meeting, is already on board with that kind of thinking. But I think on a larger level, people are told certain things are beautiful and other things are weeds. And all of these plants are beautiful, and it's just a matter of like changing that thought process and re-educating people on that. So I think a visual helps with that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea because it's hard for those, like I'm in a subdivision. I don't know where you're at, but like I'm in a subdivision. So the idea of transforming my yard is more difficult if I'm, so I don't, but yeah, no, I think that's great. That'll be exciting to see.
Right, and there are mowing requirements and the grass length requirements and things like that. I mean, it's actually something that we have talked about in the Environmental Commission kind of off and on. How free are we as property owners to actually choose the vegetation that's on our own property? In some cases, it's pretty constrained.
Yeah.
Of course, there are
Tell me a little bit about the constraints, Ned. What do you mean by that? Like, what are you referring to?
Well, different subdivisions, different communities have, grass lengths requirements, things like that. So I don't know the actual rules properly, but I don't know. LeRoy, do you know sort of off the top of your head what the different rules are in typical subdivisions? I think, Bill, you talked about that in Environmental Commission a couple times.
I'm not aware of neighborhood restrictions on vegetation. The township's tall weed ordinance was recently revised from 6 inches to 8 inches. And then some language was added to the ordinance to exempt purposeful plantings and I don't have the adopted language right in front of me, but we are making some progress in getting over the idea that everybody should have a lawn that should be 6 inches or less.
Right. Yeah. So does that mean I can claim the creeping Charlie in my lawn as purposeful?
Well, think about the poor code enforcement officer when he gets a complaint.
Yeah, right.
You know, how's that going to work out? But almost all of the complaints are for lawns that have been let go.
Right.
That's what people tend to,
Right.
to submit complaints about. If your neighbor doesn't like your creeping Charlie, then you know it's going to be a thing.
Well, and I think that there's plenty of houses where it may be something that someone might be intentional, but there's the ones that are definitely not intentional, but yet are still let go and nobody deals with them. So, you know, that it just gets tricky because, you know, there's ones in my yard, in my subdivision that I can guarantee you are not intentional.
So that comes back to the native planting business. The question is, I mean, so we have a neighbor across the street whose whole thing is study and sort of mapping of invasives, and you know, ensuring that a planting that is mostly native sort of stays that way is actually a fairly severe challenge when you have various very aggressive species that are happy to move in.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, a long time ago, I'm trying to remember how many years, Delta Dental redid that, their whole, well, the office building, but then just to the north of that, where they're next to the drain there, they put a lot of effort into fixing up the waterway there and controlling the flow so that silt would be, you know, would be dropped and so forth. And I go by it every once in a while on my bike, but I haven't actually stopped to look, and I don't have the knowledge either to know whether it's just how successful their native planting is there. I mean, there's plenty of vegetation. The question is how much of it is still the plants that they really put a lot of effort into getting there. Does anybody know that? It's if you know where the Delta Dental building is, on the north side there, there's it's right next door to one of the drains, and so there's sort of a pond there. They put many thousands of dollars into.
No, but I had mentioned at one of these meetings, but I have not had the time to find out who in that organization has knowledge and who is in charge maybe of the landscaping there, because I was wondering how purposeful all that recent stuff they did.
Right. Well, that was part of one of the things that
it looks completely unattractive to me. So I'm wondering if there's another purpose, a higher purpose for it.
Well, right. They stripped off all the surface, and it looks like they're just going to go ahead and anyway, whatever it is, whether it's going to be grass or something else. But yeah, part of it was I was wondering, with all that bare dirt there, how much are they going to end up with piles of silt going into the water? I just don't know what the story is, but it was quite a while ago, and the drain commissioner was involved and everything. They really put a lot of effort into fixing that north side of the building and the waterway next to it.
Yeah, I've seen it, but I don't know either. I know somebody that works there, so I could maybe try to find out if she would tell me, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, there was even a little press conference there with the drain commissioner and everything.
Okay.
Maybe if we do find somebody at Delta Dental, we can invite them to either one of these meetings or to an environmental commission green. I mean, we gave them an environmental stewardship award when they did that project.
That's right. Yeah, it was a
It'd be
big deal. And
Yeah.
you know, at least at the time, it felt like it was really done in good faith. So, but as with many of these things, the sort of devil is in the details. And how do you monitor? That's sort of come up a lot of times when we look at permits and things like that. The question of what becomes of good intentions and even good actions, you know, 5 years later, 10 years later, et cetera. especially with things like aggressive invasives around all the time.
How does it work in the township? Did somebody have to approve the whole section that they did on the west side of the building? Did anybody in the township have to like look at those plans and approve them? I don't know how the township works. I don't like, is that something that has to be approved?
I don't know about that either. We Environmental Commission mostly gets involved when it's wetland relevant permitting. I don't think they're building buildings on the property. It was mostly just, most recently anyway, the last time I passed, it was just stripped down to dirt. I don't know what they were doing.
Well, they built this huge like fountain like something with a whole lot of this round thing with cement and stuff that was, it looks like there would be a fountain, but I
Rows
don't
and
know.
rows and rows and rows, hundreds, thousands of trees, all planted very closely to each other.
Mhm.
It looks like it's going to be a nightmare in a few years.
Nightmare in the sense of needing to be trimmed or
Thinned out. I mean, they're, you know, 2-inch diameter trees that are planted 6 inches apart, you know.
6
all
inches
over.
apart.
Well, I might
They're
be
not that
exaggerating a
close.
bit. Maybe they're a couple of feet apart, but they're, you know, it just
Really
looks,
packed in. Okay.
They're also planted in some sort of an interesting surface. It
Yeah.
looks almost like a permeable rubber kind of. My guess is what they're going for there is a very dense canopy, and they're probably going to keep those trees trimmed and create an ornamental canopy is my guess.
But is it set up like a hedge, or is it going to be a whole
No.
copse, or more than that?
No, they've got walking paths and things, and I think what they're going for is a kind of a plaza concept.
they've got
Well,
very narrow concrete strips between the sections of trees that, believe me, are difficult to walk on. I've tried. They're so narrow.
There's a picture, like if you ride your bike, when we rode our bikes past it, there's one of the drawings of what it's going to look like out
They
front.
must have a landscape
Down there.
architect involved in that.
What?
They must have a landscape architect firm involved in that because
Oh, absolutely they do. Yeah.
so it maybe if you do find a name, see if somebody be willing to come and explain their plans.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be very
We're all
interesting.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they did a lot of that planning in the heat of the summer, and a lot, I haven't been over there in a little while, but a lot of the plantings were dying or dead, the last time I was there. It just struck me as a whole wrong thing. Something was totally wrong about it.
Well, and then did you see that tent that went up for a while outside of the front? Did you guys see that? There was this big, humongous tent. So I asked my friend, I said, what in the world is going on with that? And she said it was them laying down pavers. So
They
then if
did
you
put
look
a
at the
lot of pavers there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then if you look at the picture, you can see where it's like this. It wasn't, I can't
Kinda
remember if it was a
circular.
roundabout, but
Yeah.
It's a circular parking area,
yeah.
and how people are going to get in and out of it, it's the strangest thing. It really is
Then
quite
you've
odd. I
got
remember
another
seeing the picture.
circular thing adjacent to that, which it's difficult to tell what the purpose of that is. And then they've got a huge deck overlooking that pond.
Yeah,
looks
that's the part that was the renovation or the
very expensive, and a whole lot of expensive patio furniture out there too.
right. That was the point, was to sort of fix up the pond and make it not just a kind of rotting waterway, but a place that made that patio into a kind of a lunch space or whatever you want to say, for the employees. But anyway, just to improve the environmental. I'm looking back at my email, and it shows how I can't count. It was 10 years ago. It was April of 2010. that they
Okay.
they did this. And the person at the time who was the contact at Delta Dental was a person named Dennis Lowney, Louney. I only met him in that context. But anyway, we
Does
could
it say
have,
that he's an employee there, or was he, like, on your email, is it somebody that was outside of there, like a landscape somebody?
no, he was an employer there. At least he has a Delta Dental email at
Okay.
that time. So yeah, we might be able to.
Hmm.
Yeah, it might be interesting to get kind of an update. I can drop him an email and see if, assuming he still exists in
Okay.
the area.
That would be
But
interesting to find
But it would
out.
be interesting to use your connection too.
Okay.
Apologies, I had an important call about the tree project this Friday.
LeRoy, do you know anything about, have you ever heard of this guy, Dennis Lowney? We were talking about Delta Dental. And that's the address, that's the email address I have for the contact at Delta Dental 10 years ago when they did the big upgrade on the waterway there.
Yeah, Dennis was part of our Green Star business, our Meridian Commercial Recycling Group.
Oh, so is he's still around?
Yeah, I believe so. I think he works with a local consulting company.
Oh, he's not with Delta Dental anymore?
No.
Okay. Oh, wow. There we go. Look at that.
I think he's on the board of MidMiac.
Okay.
I'm trying to imagine all these visitors driving into this place and then backing into these parking spaces across all those pavers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they have a giant amount of parking behind the building too.
Right. I assume this is visitor parking. All the employees park in the back
Yeah.
and visitors park here, but
They've got visitor parking in the back too.
Maybe that's the metered parking.
Yeah. I assumed this was for, more important people coming in for meetings or to do business.
Oh, this is where the fancy cars park so they can be.
Yeah. I don't know.
but I mean this tree line in the back that's very dense. They're clearly going for
Forest. Forest. They're going for-
Yes, I remember they're all the same. Weren't they all the same?
The
The
trees.
trees out farthest south of where that big sign that they put there, south of that sign, all those trees are they're all different trees,
Oh, okay.
different species. The ones that are between the concrete strips. It's a real weird looking layout to me. But
Well, I'll do what I can to see if I can contact anybody, and Ned, you email him and see what you come up with. You may not get anywhere if it's a Delta Dental email.
Right. If LeRoy, do you think you have a more current email for Dennis? He might, if nothing else, he might know sort of who took over that position.
Yeah, I've got a contact, couple contacts over there. And I'll see what I can find. They were a sponsor of our recycling event.
Sure. And it's not like we're asking, make an accounting of yourself or something like that, but it would be interesting 10 years down the road to say, okay, this is a big deal at the time. And it'd be really nice to get a
what's their
discussion,
update?
learn about
What's their follow through?
Right. Exactly. And how much effort have they had to do to maintain it, and what's worked and what hasn't, basically.
Mhm.
So yeah, that'd be great.
I apologize. I've got to run. I'm going to leave my thing running, but carry on. I see the meeting is in good hands, and I hope to get a chance to know you a little bit better, Kendra, next time, and what your issues are. So anyway, I look forward to reviewing the video later. See ya.
Hey, why don't we sing in next?
Ooh, we gotta behave then.
Maybe later in this meeting after I leave.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed last Wednesday at the, what is it? The Green, what, the Green Eagle? No, that's that farm.
Eagle Monk.
Eagle, yeah, the Green Monk.
Eagle Monk
Got it.
Brewery.
Yeah, I understand you performed, Ned, is that right?
That would be a generous description.
Well, I heard it was a highlight of the evening. That was what I was told. I can't stay a long time either. I've got somebody coming in the studio in a bit, but I just wanted to pass along that I've made a small amount, and I'm going to emphasize small, of progress on this song thing. I came up with a name for the group. And so here's what I came up with is Anaerobic and the Degradables. So how does that fly? Does anybody got any thoughts on that? Let me know what you think. And I'm going to see if I can get Deshawn to sing it. She's got a great voice. But I've got a few ideas, but it hasn't moved too far yet. But we are working on it. And if I need any modifications, or if you think I need modifications on the name of the group, certainly pass those along to me and we can see what we come up with.
Well,
Anaerobic and the what?
Anaerobic and the Degradables.
I thought you said digestibles.
yeah,
Well,
Not to put on a t-shirt, but yeah, go for it.
Yeah, okay. Well, digestibles, I don't know. Maybe that sounds a little more food oriented, but I suppose a little bit of this is food oriented, isn't it? So we'll see where it goes from there. I did put a couple of lyrics together, but it's nothing I want to pass along yet. I got some ideas from the last meeting that I think were valuable. Somebody was talking about doing a little bit here and a little bit there, and not trying to take this on as, we're going to do it all tomorrow, but everybody does a little bit and a little bit here and a little bit there, and we make some progress overall. So I'm going a little bit with that theme. And if you got any other ideas, once again, either words or phrases or theme ideas, do pass them along to me.
Awesome. Thank you.
you do have to remember that the main product of an anaerobic digester is biogas. So some people may find that we may
Well,
not
I think it could be very appropriate.
promote our products.
Okay, yeah, I will keep that in mind. That's the main product of it. And what do we save that for? Anything or what? How do we convert that to a usable substance?
The one on campus, most of these basically take that gas and they use it either for, in the small ones, like practically household digesters, they'll use it for either for heating or cooking. It does have some odor issues. At MSU, they have a gas conditioning canister that it goes through, and then it runs into a big old, I forget what the engine is, but anyway, it's a big, basically a internal combustion engine that drives a generator.
Okay, interesting. I will keep I'm looking for the downside of these things too. And I just wrote down odor issues. That maybe can be inserted somewhere in the tune.
Well, the other side of it is, they concentrate, people bring the manure and bring the food and so forth there, but that stuff's going to rot someplace anyway. So
Yeah.
They actually solve a fair amount of odor problem as well. I'm just saying, when you're standing around the digester, it.
Okay.
Are you
Even the
familiar
household digester?
with the Delhi Township's operation?
Pardon?
No.
They were taking all the scrap from the Holt school lunches and putting them into some kind of anaerobic digester, I thought. And at their public works department, they collect household grease and oils from residents and from, I'm not sure who else, and they claim to fuel their vehicles with it through some process. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the stuff they call, at least for the anaerobic digester, they call that FOG, fats, oils, and grease, FOG. And they, and if you include it in the mix, as long as you don't have too much so that you get sort of separate layers, it can be digested along with everything else, and it makes the gas that much richer, more energy dense. The gas is basically methane and carbon dioxide. So it's not quite as energy rich as plain natural gas, which is essentially methane alone. But it's still plenty energy rich. it does have to be cleaned up a little bit if you're going to dump it into an engine, or it will destroy the engine. There are other things in there like sulfur compounds that have to get
I'm assuming
scrubbed out a little bit.
yeah, they've got
But-
some kind of a process there, but I'm not sure what they do exactly.
Yeah, they usually have some kind of cleaning.
They
Yes.
used to send a guy to Recycle Rama with a big grease collection container. And people would bring all their stuff. But the last few years, they haven't been doing that, I don't believe. I don't know if they're still, but they're still processing. They still got their collection. I still take stuff over there occasionally. And they've got a better sign for it now. They didn't really used to have a sign at all. You just had to kind of know where the bin was to place it. And now there's a sign on there. So I guess they're still actively collecting.
The thing is, if you have something really clean, like if you have, vegetable oil that's actually clean stuff, that's relatively easy to directly convert to biodiesel. So, but the drippings from a grill or whatever, the sort of accumulated fatty material from food preparation is too complicated a mixture to handle that way. So that's why you could take it off to the anaerobic digester. I keep thinking that they should put those things next to, liposuction clinics. But that's a whole other subject. I'd be happy to donate. Anyway, so that's in Delhi. Are you aware of a website or anything like that? I mean,
Oh yeah, there's a little bit on their the township's website. If you go to the, well, they've got it. They don't call it the DPW, but that's basically what it is. It's a public owned. It's the PO, public owned, some kind of. But you'll find it pretty easily, and it talks about their grease collection a little bit on there.
but they have their own digester as opposed to sending it off, say, to MS.
I believe they do. Yeah, they've been doing it for a number of years.
Okay, yeah. The more people just become aware that this is something you can do. It's not just a matter of disposing of rotting stuff. It's actually a way to extract value. The more they're.
In fact, they said they could put anything in that digester except bones, as far as food waste.
Right. What you can't put in, unfortunately, and what's actually shut down the one on campus a couple times is the challenge of getting students to put food waste into the right container and not, for example, rubber gloves or plastic bags or cutlery, things like that. It's the essentially keeping the streams separate that has actually a couple times caused them to have to shut down and basically start over. So yeah, so that gets back to the plastic eating bugs.
Yeah. That was an interesting thing you had last week.
Anyway, I actually had my little green chemistry class that meets on Tuesday nights last week. So not last night, but a week ago, we did have a presentation from Dana Kirk, who runs the anaerobic digester there. Unfortunately, it was all online, and normally our class, when we do that, is we go take a field trip to visit it, and it's a very fun thing to do because you're walking past, on the way to the anaerobic digester, you're walking past these little paddocks full of cute little Holstein calves, and everybody goes, "Ah," on the way. Anyway.
See that
And they're building one over at the sewage treatment plant too. I'm not sure where they are on that. I would know the East Lansing sewage treatment plant that's on the west side of campus, well past the west side of campus. Anyway, I'm sure everybody.
So building one so that, how does that work? So they would have stuff that would come through the water treatment to take out and put it in there, or to have people come and bring it there?
No, it would, well, my understanding anyway is that it's to treat the sewage itself. The thing is that the biosolids that come through in sewage have a lot of energy content. I mean, they're still, it's, I mean, it's manure in a sense.
Yeah.
And there's a certain amount of other stuff in there, but the thing is that the way those treatment plants work historically is basically it's bioprocessing, but it's aerated, so it's aerobic, and the bugs destroy the stuff, but it's incredibly energy intensive because they have these tanks that they're aerating very vigorously. So there's a lot of pumping cost. That they're one of the, I think they might be the biggest energy users in the township, because they have to do all this pumping of the liquids, but also pumping of the air to aerate these tanks. And so the point is, if you can move to an anaerobic digestion process where the gases that are formed have energy content and can be used, then at least you partly offset that.
So then do you think that's some grant from something federally to do that, or what do you, any idea?
No idea. The person who actually will know significantly more about that is Susan Maston, who's part of the Environmental Commission. She's going to present in my class next Tuesday, but she will be part of the Environmental Commission meeting, presumably next Wednesday.
Okay.
Wait, is it next Wednesday or 2 weeks? I'm out to lunch.
I think LeRoy said next Wednesday.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
right. It's the first Wednesday in the month usually.
Is that a 7 o'clock for that meeting? Do you know?
Usually.
Okay.
Yeah. It's, it's an open meeting, so anybody is welcome to attend. In fact, not just welcome, but invited, please.
Okay. Well, I have some new ideas and material for my thoughts about this song, and I'll work with that fog. I like that, the fats, oils, and grease, odor issues, digestibles. It may have to go to digestibles. That seems to be a little more in line with the anaerobic. So I'm going to pursue that, but I have to leave. I've got some things I've got to get ready for. But it's always informative and somewhat entertaining as well. And I am sorry that I missed the thing last Wednesday, but I look forward to another concert there. Was it just Ned or more?
No, it was LeRoy. It was LeRoy and friends, and I just invaded for one song.
Yeah, yeah. I heard it was a highlight too. So I look forward to seeing and hearing that again. I'm going to try and make it. I play a little bit of percussion, and I have joined LeRoy before. So next time there's an opportunity, I'm going to try and get out there. I couldn't make it last week, though.
Yeah, Bill was there.
It's been nice
Bill
seeing
was
everybody.
rocking out.
Yeah, right. It's been nice seeing everybody, and I look forward to the next meeting.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.
I'm going to see if I can find the anaerobic digester videos that I sent to my students, sent to the rest of the group here.
What did the students think of it?
I haven't got all their reflections read and analyzed yet, but the ones that I have read, they were pretty excited to, and that's a little bit of the theme of the course. I tend to focus on activities at MSU because these are freshmen, and one of the things I like to do is highlight the activities at MSU that you can, where you can appreciate people's efforts to do green things. The sort of gross description of the class is green chemistry. Yeah. Which is interpreted very, very broadly. But more or less, it's just a big sales pitch for chemistry. I just say, look, chemistry is about everything around us. It's not just that class you took and whatever, checking the boxes for your major or whatever. Yeah. So we historically have had about a half of the class has been, about a third of the class has been field trips to different facilities that use chemistry and biological processes and stuff like that. A third has been visiting speakers, and a third has been me telling stories.
That sounds really cool.
Well, depends on, a lot depends on the sort of engagement of the class. So that's why I really regret that we can't do physical field trips. It's just much more interesting, more fun to get out there. But that's how it goes.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll just be one year of that.
Well, actually, that's the one thing that's good about, you know, online is that you can record stuff. So, but I will send I'm trying to find my emails to them. I'll send to the group, I'll send the links to the videos about, I mean, the anaerobic digester is a point of pride for the MSU. So there's a lot of information about it.
Cool.
I want to come back to this question of natural native plantings. Kendra, where did you get your seeds and so forth from? What did you use as your sources?
So we worked with Vern Stevens, and I got his name from Kit Rich, who used to work at the Harris Nature Center.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to look at what the name of his company's. I have to name his company, but Vern Stevens, and he got us connected with other folks who made up a plan for around our entire house. So we had to grade our yard anyways, and so we just created a big chunk of the backyard and turned that into native plants, and then we put them in the front of our house too. And honestly, they're just beautiful flowers, as you probably know already. They're not, you know, weeds are in the name, but they're just beautiful. And we created all these berms, you know, to get privacy with all the dirt that we removed from the yard. And then we actually picked through that dirt and found stones, and we created a rain garden. So that water comes off our roof and goes into this pond, and then the native plants will drink that water. And it's just like really beautiful. So I have to find his actual name of his company, but Vern Stevens is the name of the man who owns the business that got us connected with everybody. So let me just Google that real quick, because I don't have the name of his.
Sounds great.
Yeah, I'm interested in finding out seeds too, because I want to, I think I might have shared this before, but I learned recently part of the reason why some of my plantings may not be growing is because seeds are intentionally developed to not work after a certain amount of time. I was told from Monsanto and stuff, and so I have old seeds. And but I was wanting, when I start planting things next year, I was wanting to find out where to buy seeds that are, you know, or basically organic, so they haven't been messed with, kind of thing. But I hadn't researched that yet.
So Vern Stevens' company is called Designed by Natures, and it wasn't seeds; it's actually plugs that we planted. I mean, we planted hundreds of them. I don't even know the number. Hundreds of them to create the whole area. But there are places where you can get seed too. There's a place in Portland where you can get the seeds. And I don't, you know, that place is escaping me too right now, as I wasn't really prepared to share any information today other than listening. But I can get some information to you.
Designs by Nature, you said?
Yes, Designed by Nature, Vern Stevens. If you just Google his name, and then it's Stephen's. Just Google him. Actually, I was able to pull up a presentation that he did, and where he talks about the rain gardens and all of that kind of.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, the Michigan wildflowers, Designed by Nature. So.
Awesome.
Good.
His name has been mentioned here before. I think Emma talked about him being one that goes out and clears out invasives.
Yes, he does. In fact, we had one of the folks that he hires to do that out at our place, and his business is actually out of Holland. But yes, they clear out the invasives and plant the natives.
Okay.
And Black River Habitats is who we worked with. They're the ones that Fern usually uses to help clear out some of the invasives. But he may have more folks that he works with too.
Okay. Cool. And you said it wasn't seed, it was what instead?
Plugs. So just
Plugs, okay.
Ooh, I think I'm gonna have to get going now too. But
Some of these invasives take multiple years to kill off. It's a real challenge.
Yeah.
All right. I have to get going too because I have a class coming up. An office hour coming up in 8 minutes. So
Okay.
I'll
Cool.
send the invite.
I gotta go, but I don't have any class.
come to my office hours.
Sounds good. Thank you all.
All right. See you guys.
See you next week. Bye.